Hey, listeners, this is Jennifer G, and I am a real housewife from Texas, a real housewife from the Lone Star State. I am going to be starting a new podcast, and I just wanted to introduce myself and tell you guys a little bit background about, just my journey and what brought me to start this podcast. It's something I've actually been sitting on for a while and contemplating because I recently had to sort of reinvent myself, which we all end up having to do, over, like your lifetime. There's going to be times where you're going to, just have moments where it's time for a career change or, maybe something impacted the change and it was a change that you were kind of maybe forced into, but it was necessary. So for me, it's a little bit of both, but it's allowed me time to be able to do something I love and that I'm very passionate about. And one thing I've always been very passionate about is relationships. I am also a certified life coach that specializes in relationships. And I also used to work for two of the top dating services here in the Dallas Fort Worth area. And I did really well there. So at both places. And so it's always allowed me to be around something I love. And so this podcast is going to be about relationships, dating tips, anything dating or in that arena. I'm also going to be talking about trending topics because that's also, something that interests me. And as well as doing some lighthearted reviews about some of the dating shows that my husband and I love to watch together. He also will be part of the show, and I'm going to tell a little bit about him as well. It's something we've been thinking about doing for a long time. In fact, a lot of friends have, told us we should do it. And we're not actually, we're not, this is our first rodeo. We actually had our own radio show on KMOC radio back in the year 2008, I believe it was. We had our radio show for about a year. And shout out to Princella, who gave me the job at her radio station. And it was wonderful. We had a great time, met a lot of people, did a lot of networking, had a lot of great shows, and, a entourage of listeners, people interested in the topics that we were talking about at the time. We did a lot of events, things like that. And so it's this is definitely not my first rodeo. We did that back when podcasts weren't even a thing yet. Now it seems like everybody has a podcast. Even, celebrities are having podcasts and stuff like that. So some of everybody nowadays are, getting into having podcasts, but we were doing it way back when. And we, had a really successful show. But unfortunately, just due to some life things that were happening at the time, we had to, stop doing our show at the time. It just made more sense for us. We had some things going on with our son that we felt like we needed to kind of focus, on our household and not be away so much. And, he was having some challenges with his work at school and stuff like that. So, there were some family choices that had to be made. So we had to end our show, but we sort of did a spinoff because there was a psychologist that is a friend of mine who used to come and do a segment on our show. And we actually let her take our slot. So it was an easier transition that way. But so anyway, I've always enjoyed talking and talking about different topics. And of course, my favorite topic is relationships and dating. Um, I've always been a matchmaker, just natural born. When I was a child, I was the one that was always passing notes to friends that, said they liked a friend, and, I make it my business to be the one to let them know. So I guess you could say my journey of matchmaking and stuff started way back when I was a kid, and that love never went away. I've always enjoyed relationships and topics surrounding relationships, and just I love love. I was born on February 15th, the day after Valentine's Day, so I just think that maybe that has something to do with it. I'm not sure, but that's my theory. Um, so anyway, I'm really excited about the podcast. I think everyone will enjoy the topics that we are going to be talking about. Um, my husband will be part of the podcast too, because it's always nice to have a male's perspective with a lot of the things that we talk about. And basically, what we're doing is turning our audio on. I mean, we talk all day, every day. We talk about some of everything. And we happen to land a lot on conversations regarding relationships. And it's probably because we also watch a lot of dating shows. Some shows he's tapped out of on me. Some shows I'm still watching, and then there's some that we watch together. But those always seem to strike up conversations, and so we're always talking. So um, I said, you know what, we need to just cut the audio on when we're having these hypothetical conversations, and you know, let listeners out there join in with us and join the conversation. So, and there's, no better time than the present to do that, because I truly am a real housewife of Texas at this point. So let me tell you a little bit about what I have done, just so you'll know a little background of my journey so far. So I have, like I said, worked for two of the top dating services in the DFW area for many years, um, during which I also branched off and started my own business, doing singles events. I used to do singles events at a restaurant that's really prominent in the Fort Worth area called Buttons, formerly known as Buttons. That restaurant has since closed, but I used to have my dating events, which were singles events, and then also for couples too. We finally opened it up to where couples could also come for a date night, but the purpose was for people to meet. Um, and they were a lot of fun. Really brought a lot of traction into the restaurant. It was already a booming restaurant, of course. And I'm not sure if people, if there's anyone listening that's local. Buttons was a very popular restaurant. In fact, they had a couple of locations at one point. There was a location in Addison. I believe there was a location at one point in DeSoto. And then don't quote me on that, because the one in DeSoto, that's what I heard. Um, but I know for sure that there was a location in Addison, and then there was a location in Fort Worth. And if you know Chef Buttons, Chef Keith Buttons, he was a wonderful, or is a wonderful chef. Um, Makes wonderful cuisines, and people love that restaurant. Carolyn and Herbert, shout out to them too. They were such a sweet couple. They were also owners with Chef Buttons, and they allowed me to have these singles events in their restaurant, which I really appreciate. So um, that opportunity really opened it up for singles to meet, and it was a great event. So anyway, that was one of the things that I used to do. So that was my business that I brought into the restaurant, and that's where we hosted these events at. Um, so I've had my own business within the dating arena. Also, previously, just other fun things that I've done is I've actually used to work for the NFL by way of the Dallas Cowboys. So I used to work for the Dallas Cowboys back when Tony Romo was the quarterback. I worked there for many years, and before we went to the new stadium. So now we're at the AT&T Stadium here in Texas, and I worked before we actually went to the AT&T Stadium. So I've got lots of memories, lots of stories, about those days. So I have also basically worked in entertainment as well. So I know my way around people. Let me just say that because of the different, industries I've been in, one thing that I do know is people and how to connect with people, how to form relationships, which again, that's one of the reasons that I became a life coach. So, and again, specializing in relationships. So I'm excited about the podcast. I think I have a lot of experience that I bring to the table. So that way, I'm not just somebody that's jumping on a podcast and calling myself a relationship expert. I am a relationship expert, and I'm a professional. So, this is an amateur person, that's out here on a podcast talking to people. This is somebody with experience that, has been in the field for many years. And I have experience and I bring a lot to the table. So I just want you to know that this is serious. But I'm definitely, again, excited. Trying to think if there's anything else that I need to mention. Let me tell you a little bit about my husband. He and I couldn't be any more different, actually. I think I call us the odd couple, but we work. I call us the odd couple because we are very different. I'm extroverted, he's introverted. Um, I like to be around people quite often. He does not. He prefers to, do things alone a lot, and he's okay with that. Of course, we love spending time with each other, so that's the time that bring us together. But we couldn't be any more different. Some other differences is, let's see. We've got all kinds of quirks. He's got his quirks, I've got mine, but our industries are different. The industries that I've been in are based on people. So, the things that I've done throughout my career has all been revolving around people. And so it's always been really important for me to build relationships and build rapport. And that's something that I'm really good at. Not to say that he's not good at that, but his the industries he's been in has always been more uh like he always puts it like this. You've worked with people and had to build rapport, whereas I've always worked with things. And so I guess that's the biggest difference because he's a software engineer. So majority of his work is very mind based, and he has to use lots of his thinking skills with the work that he does, and it's very critical and things like that. But that's what he loves. He loves technology, and so all industries the industries that he's worked in has been more technology based. So so again, we're very different, but we couldn't be a better match for ourselves, with those differences, which makes us so unique. And again, that's why I call us the odd couple, because we kind of are, but we work. But anyway, um, he also has a YouTube gaming channel that he has ran for many years. At this point, he's got over 1,000 something subscribers. I'm not really sure what number he's at this point. He's ran his channel for about, I think it's year number 12. So he has a really big following. And on his gaming channel, he talks about his collection because he's a collector. He also talks about, what's happening in the gaming industry. So sometimes he does a little bit of, news reporting about the gaming industry, and the happenings that's going on there. He attends like Retrofest and different fests and stuff like that to keep himself abreast on what's going on in the gaming community. He works with other gamers as well that have platforms. So, that's his love. That's what he loves to do. So it's kind of cool that we're both able to have these differences and then share our worlds with each other. Um, and again, that's one of the things that makes our relationship so unique. Because and that's also I think what makes us not ever have anything or run out of things to talk about. We always have room for conversation. We can always talk about some of everything. I remember when we first got married, and we've been married for 24 years, by the way. I told him, I said, my biggest fear with getting married is that one day, if we, continue to stay together, that we'll wake up and we won't have anything to talk about. We'll just have known so much about each other that there's just nothing new to learn, and we just won't have any conversation. We'll wake up one day and not have anything to talk about. And I couldn't have been more wrong. We always have something to talk about. we learn each other every day. There continues to be new things to learn. So, anyway, um, like I said, odd couple, but probably one of the most genuine couples that you could meet. And, we're genuine because we've been through any and everything um, that a couple can go through in 24 years of marriage. So it has not always been easy, but I will tell you that it has been wonderful, though. Lots of learning experiences, growing together. I have some health issues, which is what put me in a position to be able to be home now. And that's what made me decide to kind of unction me to go ahead and get this started, because I have nothing but space and opportunity now that God has blessed me with, and I'm appreciative of it. I wish it was under other circumstances, of course, but you know what? You take lemons and make lemonade. So that's what I've done, and that's what I'm doing. So we are, we're currently going through sickness and health part of marriage, but that's just part of union. And so and again, that's what makes us such a great couple, because we bring to you real life experiences. We will never tell you that our relationship is perfect, because no relationship is perfect. And you know why? Because no one is perfect. So if you don't have perfect people, how can you have perfect relationships? It just doesn't exist. So, but what you do have is two people who love each other like crazy and who fights every day for their marriage. And there is nothing at this point, we know that there's nothing that could break us apart. We're just meant to be together. We are soulmates, and we know that, especially after 24 years of being together. So we've had people, places, and things try to come in between our relationship, and that just, it never prevails. So, but what does prevail is our continued love for each other, and all the experiences that we have, and all the experiences that we can share with our grandchildren, and help them navigate their relationships. And we feel like that's one of the reasons why we want to spread our knowledge. And we learn from other people too. We learn from other couples every day. So you're never too old to learn, and you've never been married long enough to not learn new things too. So I'm excited about the podcast, and again, I just wanted to allow myself to, or allow me to introduce myself to you guys and what I'd like to know more about as we go along and as we start our first podcast, um, is to know what people would like to hear more about. So I definitely want this to be interactive and for you guys to let us know what topics you would like to talk about and things like that. It'll definitely be an open platform and an open forum, a safe space to talk. I will be doing some coaching tips and giving dating tips and things like that. So definitely be looking forward to that. And again, lighthearted reviews on some of the dating shows that we watch because I just love to give my 2 cents. And so this will be a platform for that. And you can give your 2 cents too. So I think I have mentioned everything that I wanted to mention in this introduction. But again, I'm excited and I hope you guys get excited too. I have a lot to say all the time, and this is going to be a platform for that. And I want to hear from people too. And as far as listeners, this is for everybody. There is no specifics on, who can join. Anybody that's interested in what we're talking about can jump on this bandwagon because, again, I want it to be interactive and, for everybody to be able to feel like they can give their opinions because I'm not shy of other people's opinion. I'm going to have mine too. So, anyway, thank you so much for listening. You'll hear more from me going forward. And my husband, by the way, his name is Keno. And again, he'll be joining us too. And this is Jennifer G., the Real Housewife from Texas. Talk to you soon.